President Obama says there is no excuse for rioting and criminal behavior, but says if young people want to organize to make changes, the White House stands ready to help. Here on the political fallout from Ferguson, Karl Rove, former senior advisor to President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. I'm curious just overall what you think about the president getting involved in this situation. Is it an appropriate use of the bully pulpit, Karl?
Well, I think it is. Certainly, the president sort of committed himself to this track, not at the beginning of the Ferguson episode, but when he spoke out on Trayvon Martin and when he spoke out on Lewis Gates and the episode in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Having involved himself in those, it would look sort of odd for him not to have made a comment on this one. The president's remarks on Monday night, I think, were seen as too soft. He certainly toughened them yesterday when he went to Chicago and I think gave an appropriate set of remarks designed to say violence was unacceptable and that the violence against property and persons was absolutely wrong and people should be punished. I thought it was a better tone on Tuesday than it was on Monday.
But there are other cases in which he hasn't involved himself, cases in which, for instance, a police officer in upstate New York was dragged out of his patrol car and killed with his own weapon. The president didn't say anything about that one.
Yeah, that's right. And look, this is the thing that you've got to be careful about. The president has chosen to involve himself in some. The pattern is that when it is perceived police actions against African Americans, that he has involved himself. But it's a dicey territory because it raises these kind of considerations. Why do you speak about one and not about another?
Yeah, and the involvement of Al Sharpton in this case, a man who is frequently invited to the White House, said to be very close to the president, proudly proclaims that he is a presidential advisor. What do you make of that?
Well, look, he has no credibility on these issues. Remember, he was the the main sponsor in the Tawana Brawley incident, where a young African American woman claimed to have been assaulted, and he, even after it became apparent to a large number of people that this was simply not true, he still remained by our side. And look, he's looking for the limelight. He's got an organization that pays his bills and a generous salary, and he wants the limelight in order to keep that organization alive. And as we know from recent news reports, ironically enough, started in the New York Times, he also owes a lot of tax money, so he needs his celebrityhood in order to pay the bills and to pay eventually the tax man. So, but on these issues, he has no credibility, and sort of like celebrity commentary from a guy who has no right to be opining on these issues.
And very quickly on Governor Jay Nixon, I mean, here is a 15-year prosecutor who said very early in this case that Officer Wilson would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Then the grand jury hears the case and finds out there's no probable cause that the officer did anything wrong.
Yeah, and then also he's been, I think, criticized justly for, calling up the National Guard and then not deploying them in a way that kept the violence down on Monday night. Now, last night, a lot more Guard were seen on the ground in the area that's being affected around Ferguson and West Florida Avenue, but the governor's being criticized for that. Look, we also have the Attorney General of the United States saying in August that in the immediate aftermath of the incident, saying we've got it, something has to happen at the end of this. We can't have protests in August and at the end of December, in essence, not have anything done. Appearing to put his finger on the scale when it comes to the federal investigation. In fact, I think it's really ironic. He has made it a point to say that he will resolve the questions of the federal investigation before he leaves office. That seems to me that he is looking for a rush to judgment here in order to be able to say, I did something in response to this, even if it's not appropriate.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. But I want to talk a little bit of politics with you now. Another prominent Democrat, Karl, is jumping on the bandwagon, criticizing his own party. New York Senator Chuck Schumer saying the Obama administration focused on the wrong thing, on health care, in the depths of the recession. Listen.
When Democrats focused on health care, the average middle-class person thought, the Democrats are not paying enough attention to me.
This is one of the most liberal members of the Senate, representing one of the most liberal states, New York, and he seems to be saying that Democrats and the president focused on the wrong thing. What do you think about that, Karl?
First of all, I think he's right. I think the administration thought, and Democrats thought, that if they passed the stimulus bill, this nearly $1 trillion worth of additional federal spending in February of 2009, that this somehow magically we could spend our way to prosperity, and so therefore the economy was done, jobs was done, they didn't need to do anything else on it, and they turned their attention to the Affordable Care Act. And it turned out that even they had to admit, even the president had to admit, there were no shovel-ready jobs available, and that this didn't stimulate the economy in the way that they thought. American people looked at that stimulus package and saw a bunch of pork barrel spending. At the same time, the Democrats thought they had handled, checked the box when it came to the jobs and the economy. So I think Chuck Schumer's right. However, the answer that they then came up with, the Affordable Care Act, is really unusual. Look, it wasn't popular at the time that it passed. When it passed in March of 2000, by March of 2010, it had been on the books for a few days. 40% of the American people were favorable about it, 49 unfavorable. Today it's 38 favorable, 53 unfavorable. It's gotten less popular. There's never been a major social change in America, whether it's the Civil Rights Act or the Social Security Act or Medicare, that was less popular after it passed than when it passed. In addition, December of 2011, when it came to the issue of health care, 26% of the American people said they trusted the Republican Party more, and 39% said they trusted the Democratic Party more. That's about a 13-point advantage. Traditionally, that advantage has been 20 or 30 points to the Democrats' advantage. So even by December of 2011, people were not trusting the Democrats as much as they had historically done. Today, it's 32% trust the Republicans more, and still 39% for the Democrats. So what has been historically a huge political advantage for the Democrats, 20 or 30-point advantage, has now been essentially eroded away to a very small advantage, with most people saying, I don't, a significant number of people saying, I don't trust either party, but more of a parity between the two parties than we've ever seen in history.
And interesting, the Affordable Care Act passed without a single Republican vote, and now the Democrats are saying it may have been the wrong move. Interesting. How's the weather down there in Austin, Karl?
I hate to tell you, but it's pleasant, warm, and sunny, and it's going to be good hunting on Friday and good hunting on Sunday, and I intend to get in a little bit of hunting on both days.
All right. Well, we're not looking that way up here. Karl Rove from Austin, Texas, thank you.